Hey guys, welcome back to the Lit Mag Lab podcast. I'm Marie, aka Vevna Forrow. So previously on the podcast, I was showing you around Paloma magazine. Again, they are based out on Substack, and yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the capabilities of Substack, some of the things I like about Substack, some of the things that are kind of finicky with poetry formatting, things of that nature. So yeah, be sure to listen back to that episode if you're someone who is maybe thinking about starting a Litman journal or maybe interested in Substack as a potential platform, to house everything, right? And towards the very, very end, I tacked on some notes as usual, PS notes, right? So do listen back to that. I decided to just share on this next episode actually the release of an ebook guide I made. Eventually, I will put this in print as well, hopefully. So yeah, and check it out. If you're interested, it covers essentially everything I've covered to date. Right, it goes over everything I've gone over on this podcast series and also additional things through my newsletter. So yeah, you could consider it also a diary of sorts, from the past couple of years since 2022, all of the challenges and struggles I had of my own lit mag and leading up to its relaunch and all of that, right? So it's not like relaunching, just like one of our main print series, right? And yeah, so um keep in mind, some lit mags and journals, right, they sometimes they start off with print and online, and sometimes discontinue print, right? But I'm not doing that. In the sense, I'm rebooting our print main series, and we also do chat books and things like that, in addition to online publications. So yeah, it's totally okay to do a reboot of your series after you've had a format for a couple of years and want to switch things up, change it up. A lot of magazines over the course of history have done relaunches, reboots, and have come back, with their series. So that's essentially what I'm hoping to do with my own Dippity, right? So yeah, do check it out. If you're interested in picking up the guidebook, it's just on ebook distribution platforms at the moment. So not just Kindle, but anywhere you typically pick up ebooks, and it should be out on other places too. In January, early January as well. So yeah, if you're interested, you can read about it. It's a guide. It has the outlines I made, that are available on my newsletter and elsewhere. And also I expanded on some things, just all of my notes, all of my lists, my reviews of platforms, some main points. And yeah, so again, Lit Magnation, it is a dual resource for, others, combining like an editor's diary and then step-by-step guide on how to just start your own lit mag journal. Some of the things I went through, right? Everyone has heavy life events, so I mentioned that, and things of that nature. Some of the things I dealt with, others looking down on my lit mag and think it's a joke, and it's something we invest a lot of time into, right? As I mentioned, of Drunk Monkeys, other publications, right? A lot of founding editors, right, have dealt with, heavy life events, and I can relate to that. And some really tough things, So it's not easy by any means to kickstart your own lit mag. So I just put everything in a guide that I know, right, that I went through, all my notes, all my thoughts. It's a mind dump book, okay? And it's not 100% typo free, okay? I did type this just with my right hand. I'm going to be honest, so it was really hard for me. Just know that I did the very best I could. And yeah, sure, in the print version, maybe I'll clean up a few things, or I can easily update an ebook, right? So it's not too bad. But for the most part, I did the best I could with this guidebook for you guys. And yeah, it's on, ebook platforms. So if you want to, you can. You don't have to pick it up. But if you're someone who likes ebooks, or, looking for more information on starting, your Lit My Journal, or likes reading text versus podcast episodes, you're not a huge fan of screen reading, or a video reading, if you're not a huge fan of like screen reading or ebooks, right, or print even, which I'll probably put this into, in the near future, right, in the new year, you can of course listen to the podcast episodes or the screen reads. Actually, the guidebook does direct you to which episodes to listen back to as well. And yeah, so it just pairs with it, right? Check out these episodes. If you're wondering for more information on this, check out that episode, right? So yeah, the episodes aren't just on YouTube, they're on multiple channels, so you have some options to listen and watch the video recordings, at least 3-4 different options, so that's always good, right? And yeah, So again, just covering essentially, everything on the Lit Mag Lab and its extension of that. So a guide for publishers and submitters. I would say it's like 60% for founding editors, submitters, and then 40% submitters. Just some basic general advice on how I approached myself as a writer and artist. When I was interacting with Lit Magazine journals, reading their submission guidelines, and how to tackle the whole submission world, right? Because it's tough navigating it, right? There are things you have to watch out for. So includes like all of my tips, all of my list, and all of the things you should be aware of, right? And yeah, obviously I could go on and on. It could be like a 500, 800 page book, right? Or way more than that. There's a lot to cover in the space and publishing industry in general. So mostly I was just going off of, things I went through, experienced, and what I thought would be helpful, had I looked back, and started my Lit journal, what I would have liked to known, or, have all of that information, collectively in one place, I think, to accompany the podcast episode. So that's what it is. Who knows? There may be a part two to this guide. There may be a part three one day, and a whole series around this, not just ebooks, maybe, again, in the new year. I am going to try and put this in print as well, or have like a printable version for you guys as well. So yeah, I hope it helps you. You don't have to pick it up, but if you were looking for a guide of some kind, I did make one, and I didn't really see a whole lot of things out there for founding editors. So that's why I wanted to put this together. And it also covers some things on the submission side of the world, things to watch out for. And also a personal diary. So I'm rather honest about some things that, that happen. I've already shared that on the podcast a little bit. So I was kind of being kind of vague in some parts. But you guys who follow the podcast closely since episode one probably are aware of, life events and stuff. So yeah, so check it out. I hope it helps you. And yeah, again, just trying to cover as much as possible. Don't forget, I do have my own Litmang journal, and I'm working on some things with our reboot and everything. So I do these episodes when I can. But if you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask me, or want my thoughts on something, I'm all for that. You can, always drop a comment. I've had some founding editors even direct message me on some platforms, so if you are looking for a tip, or you want me to look into something, or want my thoughts on it, I don't know everything, obviously no one does, but it helps to talk about it, to start a discussion around it, to see if we can come up with solutions, right, and stuff. So yeah, if this series is helping you too, drop a comment, whenever. I do look at those, and apologies if I miss any comments or anything like that. But yeah, I just wanted to start up a series to help others, because I know navigating this space can be really tough. It takes a lot of research for a lot of, founding editors. And I think it helps when you see examples, right? And things like that. And in the guide, yeah, I would have loved to have more visuals and things of that nature. So it's strictly all text based. But I'm a visual person, as you guys know. So yeah, I totally would have loved to do that more. But I guess I do that through my newsletter series and on the podcast series, right? Giving you examples to share. So yeah, and do check out the guide if you're interested, or my diary. Essentially, I consider it like a personal diary guide slash guidebook, right? A little bit of both worlds there. So yeah, and take care. Eventually I probably will clean it up a little bit more. Ebook formatting, right, is pretty tricky. It doesn't retain exactly how you want it to look as your print. Not always. Of course, there's EPUB files, but each platform's a little bit different with that, right? So we do the best we can with ebook formatting. So yeah, I did what I could. So take care, and check it out if you're interested. So I could go on, on different things, but yeah. So very short episode. Just wanted to share the release of this guidebook, this ebook. Who knows? It may help someone, even if it's just a couple people. That's awesome. So you don't have to pick it up. Don't feel like you have to. But if you're interested and you're looking for something like a reference to the podcast episodes, or something to follow along with, right, that's what this guidebook is for. And all of my notes and things all stacked together, right, collectively compiled. So yeah, again, it could turn into part two or three, I don't know yet. We'll see. But any topics maybe you're interested in me covering in the new year, or if you're founding out of an existing Lit Mag journal, yeah, totally. I can't obviously cover every Lit Mag journal in existence, but I do try to check some out from time to time. And yeah, it's cool to talk about different structures and setups, right, that each Lit Mag journal has, because not everyone's doing the same exact thing, right? a little bit different types of calls, different platforms they're on, and it's pretty cool, right? So yeah, that's the book, and I explained why I named it, in the book too, why I came up with this title. Yeah, so it's technically the longest non-poetry related publication I've done, I think to date, right? So yeah, sure, I've done, mini instructional guides, instructional, interactive things in the past, but this is like the longest, non-poetry or literary arts publication I've done. So strictly just like more so guidebook and a diary. So yeah, do check it out, and I hope it helps someone out there, whether you be a founding editor or submitter. So take care, guys, and bye. Yeah. Also, Happy New Year! Happy New Year! I know it's a couple hours away, but yeah, I guess this is like it's not really a celebratory release. I announced this a couple days ago, so nothing like that. But a cheers to the new year. 2026 is upon us, right? It's like really going to be interesting. I'm sure a lot more lit mags are going to be coming into existence in the new year, and a lot of awesome stuff. I'm looking forward to doing my own lit mag journal. So yeah, I probably won't be rolling out like 100 episodes a month or anything like that. But do know again, if there's any topics you want me to maybe look at or cover, of course, look back at past episodes to make sure it's not covered already. But I totally would, be interested in looking into it. If you have something, a question of some sort, or anything like that, or maybe I could do an article around it or a video or talk about it. And if I don't know the answer, I'll just tell you I don't know the answer, because I don't know everything. I'm still, I've run a lit mag and press, right? It's just collectively, right? It's coming on our fourth year here with Dippity, and yeah, it's still, still fairly, fresh footing for me too. But I learned a lot, so I'm just trying to collectively put that someplace, right, for you guys, and for others to refer to, because I didn't really see some things covered in the lit mag space for founding editors. So I wanted to create a resource of some sort, or some resources around it, because I think it can be really, really tough again to maneuver around the space. So that's all.